I'm Cheryl Chumley. This is Bold and Blunt, giving you a Christian conservative view of news, politics, culture, and events. Gol Kalev, thank you so much for being back on Bold and Blunt, the video version. It's great to have you here.
Great to be here, Cheryl.
So first off, where are you in Israel, and what is the mood of the Israeli people right now?
I'm in Jerusalem, and the mood, I'd say, is there's a very high morale. There's a strong wall-to-wall agreement that we have to win this war. People are united in this war against Hamas, people from the left, from the right, and people are also united in providing help to the refugees, the Israeli refugees that have left their homes in the south because of the Hamas attacks, and have left their homes in the north because of the Hezbollah attacks. They're here in Jerusalem, a lot of them. There's a few hotels that are housing them, and everybody's bringing anything from food to toys to clothes because they obviously had to leave in a rush. So we are in a very high morale. There is a strong sense of mutual assurances, and we're all helping one another.
Excellent. So the West is, especially the White House, France. Macron in France actually just had to reach out to Israel and apologize for seeming to appear as if France was calling for a ceasefire immediately. How much attention do the Israeli people pay to these international reports calling for ceases of fire, ceases in aggression?
We pay a lot of attention because that basically means that they're giving Hamas the victory. I mean, we were attacked on October 7th, and we have the right to defend ourselves. And a ceasefire means one thing. It means that there'll be more October 7th, and more Jews murdered, more Jews raped. These vicious attacks by Hamas will continue. So, one can understand the instinctive idea that people have of ceasefire, let's just give peace a chance. But this is not how it works here. We were attacked, and the only way to defend ourselves long term, as the government stated and everybody here supports, is to eradicate Hamas, to eradicate their military capabilities and the governance capabilities. And that's what everybody here in Israel is set to do.
So Israeli troops are assembled on the northern border, and I understand from reading reports that communities there are largely vacant because the Israeli people have fled the border. How long can Israel sustain an attack on Hamas, but at the same time, Hezbollah?
That's a very good question, Cheryl. I mean, there's no doubt that there is a civilian toll to this war, like any other war. Because also many Israelis are in the reserves. Most Israelis at that particular age got called up, or many Israelis got called up to their units. Which means they're not working. They're not working in high tech. They're not working in producing, fueling the economy. They're away from their families. You have mothers who are raising their children by themselves. So there is a social toll. There's an economic toll. There's a civilian toll. But we're determined, and the Prime Minister and government officials said right from the beginning, this is not a matter of days or weeks. This could take months. This could take even years, maybe. We don't know, but I think everybody's behind the government and the military in completing the task, which is to change the reality, to change this reality of having communities in the south and in the north constantly live in fear and the mercy of Hezbollah and Hamas terrorists. The government said, we're changing this reality, and the people are behind the government in doing so.
So America started conducting airstrikes against terrorist groups in Lebanon. And I'm just curious, is that something that's welcomed by the Israeli people and government, or is that something that they see as unnecessarily escalating conflicts?
Well, I mean, this is a multi-arena war that sort of kind of heads back into the key actor here, which is Iran. Iran funds Hamas, it funds the Islamic Jihad, it funds Hezbollah, funds those jihadist groups in Syria and Iraq. So there is a multi-arena war, and every arena is fought with different intensity and different even rules of engagement at this point. So this is the same war. We're fighting the same war. So I'm certain that the Israeli and the American governments are coordinated, and certainly the Israelis are heartened by the support we're getting from America, by the fact that there are the American fleet that have arrived here. And of course, we're all behind whatever it is that America is doing in Syria. We're of course behind them because this is part of the same battle.
Syria. I think I said Lebanon. I meant Syria. So the hostages. What is the latest that you're hearing on the hostages? Is there still hope? What's going on with that?
There's certainly hope. I mean, just I think that's what Hamas was trying to do to demoralize the society just by us continuously and constantly thinking about infants, not even children, babies being held hostages, elderly Holocaust survivors being held hostages. The posters of the hostages are in a lot of street corners and squares. Everybody's thinking of them continuously. And there's all those rumors about this deal, that deal. We don't know, and rightfully so. So I don't know what is the current state of play in terms of efforts to release the hostages. And I'm glad that I don't know. Because this is really something that should be dealt clandestinely with the government and the military.
Last couple of questions, Gol. Last time we spoke specifically about the media and the ability of the media to influence narratives and shift certain compassions about this war. Where do you see the media right now? Do you see them doing a better job of covering Hamas as the aggressor, as the terrorist, and Israel as the victim with the right to defend itself?
No, absolutely not. Sadly, that's not the case. Sadly, the media is an actor in this war. The Hamas war strategy depends on the media because when Hamas attacked on October 7th, they knew that Israel will come at them. But their doctrine is likely not, their belief that they can sustain the Israeli attack. It's that they can hide in their tunnels for a number of weeks, sustain, just wait there, while the media, along with international organizations and protests on university campuses and elsewhere, can put international pressure on Israel to stop. So Hamas their strategy is not to sustain the Israeli counterattack militarily. Their strategy is to depend on their de facto unwilling partners in the media that are creating this pressure on Israel for a ceasefire. And that's how Hamas wins and survives and then can do more October 7th. So sadly, the media has not, we're seeing, if anybody wants to get a lesson in propaganda, just look day after day at some of those outlets, at the New York Times, at CNN, even on small little things. So, for example, the New York Times the other day reported on Israel getting weapons from the United States. And they sort of try to make some bizarre linkage that, some of these rifles or guns might go to villages in Israel. That, yes, we're creating those citizen watch groups as a lesson from October 7th. So if a village in the West Bank or in other parts of Israel will be attacked, the civilians will have enough time to defend themselves. So they're trying to kind of create this. So the headline is worded in such a way that, maybe now we should be worried about settlers' violence because in theory, if they have guns, then they can shoot Palestinians. So that's part of the overall attempt that media outlets have to create this moral equivalence. That, there's extremists on both sides. There's Hamas, but then there's the settlers. So the media is an active actor here, both in enabling the Hamas war strategy to create this international pressure that Hamas depends on to stop the counteroffensive, and in pursuing what I view as the ideological assault on the Jewish nation of our time, which is done through Israel bashing and anti-Zionism. The media is a key actor. Like my book, Judaism 3.0, I talk about this a lot, how Judaism has transformed, and the anchor of Judaism is now Zionism. And that's why the attack on the Jewish nation is occurring through Zionism in Israel, and that attack is being carried in the media in a big time.
Just to wrap up with this last question then, Gol, are there any media outlets that you can point to that are doing a fair job of covering what's taking place in Israel right now?
Well, I would certainly hope the Washington Times and you, Cheryl. No, of course. I mean, there are, look, I mean, I'm friends with a lot of the journalists here, and you hear back a few excuses or pushbacks. One is that because this is the war, the media outlets tend to send their A-team, like their best reporters. And those reporters say, well, we don't know anything about, this. I mean, we know a little bit, but we also know about other conflicts. So we don't have the background and the nuances. So we're more susceptible to Hamas's talking points. So we get talking points from Hamas, we get talking points from Israel. We put like a balance kind of thing, and so there's an element of that happening. But that's not the primary reason. There's the primary reason for the hostile reporting is that there's a culture of Israel bashing deeply ingrained amongst the journalists who are here and my journalist friends in the United States and Europe and elsewhere. I spoke once, I think I mentioned last time we spoke to a European journalist a while ago, a friend of mine, and I asked him, why is this headline, Israel kills 100 Palestinians when why are you inciting the world against Israel? And he explained to me that this is, first of all, not his decision, it's the headquarters decision, but he explained to me that's what Europeans want to hear, which is the same as throughout the centuries. So if we can extrapolate to the Middle Ages, where there were blood libels in England, a headline of a British child in Norwich is dead by the river doesn't get particular attention. But a headline of Jews killing children, English children, to use their blood for religious rituals, which was obviously a lie, gets a lot of attention. So there is this sort of media is just a business excuse, and that's why we're seeing a lot of this. And the other thing I would just add is that people kind of look to the left and to the right, and CNN says, well, okay, but the New York Times said this is what happens according to Hamas. Israel says otherwise, so we can say the same thing. So so there is this sort of indexing to the other, to the other outlets. But at the same time, look, there is, certainly look at the Israeli websites, to get a little bit more. People who are here, who are from Israel. I write for the Jerusalem Post, so obviously that's an obvious one. But there is other ways to look at the news other than through the propaganda machines that we have in some of those outlets, including, sadly, the New York Times and the BBC and CNN.
Yeah, because I think the left wants to keep alive the potential for the political two-state solution and so forth, and they just eat up headlines that show moral equivalencies between Hamas and Israel where none really exist. I want to thank you so much for your insights and coming on, and I hope to chat with you again, find out the next update on what's taking place in Israel. Gol Kalev, thank you so much. Stay safe, and I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.